Hello and welcome back to this Machine Learning and AI for Beginners series. In this video, we're going to be talking about a quick introduction to ChatGPT. In this video, we're going to learn about what ChatGPT is. We're going to learn a little bit about what the roles in ChatGPT are, the role that chat and message history play, and then last but not least, we're going to look at a code sample that uses ChatGPT with the OpenAI dotnet SDK. So, what is ChatGPT? ChatGPT, the GPT part of it, comes from the General Pre-trained Transformers model. And GPT is a general-purpose generative AI model that can be used for a wide range of language-related tasks. ChatGPT built on top of GPT, and it's designed for conversational tasks and conversational interfaces. Now, the main things that set it apart are roles, as well as the chat or message history. So, what are the roles in ChatGPT? These are essentially the entities or the individuals that a particular message belongs to. Let's start off with the system role. The system role provides guidance for the assistant. It defines its capabilities, its limitations, and its behavior. It sets the rules and the instructions that the assistant has to follow when generating responses to the user's input. The user role, that's you, the person, or the system that's interacting with the assistant, and the user is the one that provides the input and receives responses from the assistant. And then last but not least is the assistant itself, which is the AI chatbot, which uses GPT's language model to take the user input and generate responses in a conversational manner. Now, the other part that sets ChatGPT apart from just GPT in general, it's a chat and message history and how it leverages this message history as context. So context in ChatGPT refers to historical information or any relevant details that guide its responses. What the context does is it provides better user experience by having context for further conversations and generating more accurate or relevant responses. Chat or message history is a way to provide context to ChatGPT. You can think of this in the context of you talking to somebody. If you're talking to somebody, you have a sense of context as to what the topics that you're talking about are, and you're going to use that as you go through multiple turns in that conversation back and forth. So chat message history kind of works in a very similar manner here. As a reminder, any samples that you see in this video can be found at aka.ms/dotnet-ai-beginner. Let's take a look at some code. So in this code, I'm in a Polyglot notebook, and I start off by installing the Azure OpenAI dotnet SDK, which you can find over at the azure.ai.openai NuGet package. We add our using statements, we get our credentials, our endpoint and keys from our environment variables here, and then we configure our OpenAI client with that information. Then we start off by defining the system prompt. Now, if you remember, the system prompt is what gives it the instructions that the assistant needs to follow as it generates responses. Now, in this case, this particular assistant is going to help me try to find fun hikes in the area. You can see that in terms of sort of the personality or tone. It's upbeat and friendly. And whenever it needs to introduce itself, it says hello. And then it always wants to ask information before giving a recommendation, such as where is the person located and what is the intensity of the hike that they're looking for. And then as it generates the response, it's going to provide information like the length. It's also going to share some interesting facts about that particular hike. Okay. Then we go ahead and configure a few options here. Now, the main one that you probably want to sort of keep an eye on is temperature. So what temperature does is it kind of sets the tone as to how the response is going to be generated. So what I mean by this is, if you want a response that is very matter of fact and it's very factual, you're going to want to set this number to 0, for example. Now, if you want a little bit more leeway, let's say you're brainstorming or you want some creativity injected into the response, right? You're going to want to set this to a higher number like 1. And so that's why you see the 1 here because, again, it's generating recommendations and we want it to sort of be fun. So we start off then by initializing our chat history and adding our system message, which is at this point just a system prompt, to our chat or message history. And then last but not least, we start this chat. So if I go ahead and run this cell here, you're going to see that there's a prompt and I can start chatting with this agent. So I will say hi. And you can see that there's a system prompt being generated. Here's the message that I sent it, right? So that is that user role. And then the assistant, which generated the response, right? It said, hello, my name is, okay, I guess your name. And I'm here to help you find some fun hikes in the area, okay? So I want to hike in the Hudson Valley. Okay, so it's a great choice. And now it's asking me, what is the intensity, right? Okay, so I want it to be easy or low intensity. And you can see that now it takes that message. And after a few seconds, what we should see here is that it goes ahead and generates 3 different recommendations for hikes. It also gives us information such as length and some fun facts about these hikes. And I can even take it a little bit further and say, format this as a table. And what it's going to do is it's going to take, again, using that chat message history as context, it's going to know I'm telling to format by it, I'm referring to the list of recommendations that it generated. And it's going to generate this table for me here, again, keeping information such as the name of the hike, the location, the length, and a fun fact. Okay, so in this video, you learn what ChatGPT is, you learn about ChatGPT roles, chat and message history, and then you saw how using the Azure OpenAI.NET SDK, you can quickly get started building applications that leverage it and interface with ChatGPT. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.